everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is JoJo and this is JoJo Budgets. Thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to be doing the paycheck number 2 budget for the month of July. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. We'll get you guys switched over to the calendar view and hop right to it. Alright, so here we are at the calendar view. For those of you who watched my Paycheck 1 budget video, you already saw the process for how I got these filled out. I use the highlighter system that the Budget Mom teaches. So here's Paycheck 1. We've already seen those paychecks come in with our week 1 check-in from last week and all of the bills it's covering. So here is paycheck number 2. My husband and I, we both get paid on the same week. We are a 2-income household and we get paid every other week, as you can see here. And we like to do the zero-based budget system. We also, I like to forecast our paychecks a week before the money hits the bank account, just so that every dollar has a job before I have money flowing in and out of my bank account. So that's what we'll be doing today. You guys will see those videos posted the Friday before the paychecks are deposited. So there's one that's direct deposited on a Thursday and one that's direct deposited on a Friday. And this actually, starting next month, I'm going to start including income 3. I highlighted it in purple, but I actually didn't include that in my paycheck 1 budget. So I'm going to change that to a cloud because it's going to be included in paycheck 2's budget. And we are using the color pink because it's so fun. And if you watched my video yesterday, you saw that I'm going to be using the snowball as a expected expense or a fixed expense, so a bill during paycheck number 2. And all of these, I already filled out my bills during my paycheck 1 forecast, but this is my bill card that I put together. And I did highlight my debts in yellow just to remind me as I pay them off. And then I had updated down here that at the end of the month is my snowball, and then a reminder to myself just with our daycare, childcare, babysitter to kind of put that in depending on what we are doing for that month for childcare. And this is just on a note card that I had lying around the house. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and highlight the rest of these bills in pink. So I forgot to ask you guys yesterday how your 4th of July was. What did you do? Did you have a family gathering, a small gathering with friends, a barbecue, play it low key, that sort of thing? So we just had a little barbecue with some friends. So that was nice. We hadn't seen them for a while. It was nice to have some adult conversation. And let's see. So I did include here, so July is kind of a funky month for us because if we get technically 3 paychecks deposited, so we're new budgeters. This journey started for us in September of last year, so it's kind of a learn as you go. So I haven't budgeted really with like 3 paychecks, so I'm kind of working out the kinks, but I did decide to use this as paycheck 3. But I know that paycheck number 2 typically helps out with covering my larger bills. So you can see here on the first, I have my mortgage and my car, and those are my 2 largest bills for the month. So paycheck 2 usually helps out with those. And I noticed I do kind of some quick math with my expected income and expenses to kind of see where the numbers are at. And I did have a lot left over from paycheck 2. So I decided to have that cover the mortgage to help out with the paychecks for the month of July. Okay, so everything has been highlighted, and then I just put a little note to myself that that's what's going to be happening. So yeah, everything's been highlighted. Now what I'm going to do is use this to help me fill out my paycheck budget sheet. And so that is this one right here. And what I do first is just fill out that this is paycheck number 2, the dates that it's going to be covering, so I can see it's going to be from the 17th until technically the 30th, even though it is still helping out with the mortgage during the 1st. Okay, so I'll just say 7/17 to 7/30. And our incomes, so income number 1, it should be direct deposited on the 16th. And I expect it to be, whoops, already pulling out the whiteout, y'all. Okay. Actually, it's like so hard to see whiteout when you write on it, so I'm going to write to the side of it so you guys don't have to strain to see what I am writing. And then paycheck number 2, I expect it to be deposited on the 17th. And income number 3 should be coming in on the 15th for $584. And these two are underestimated. There actually should be a raise coming through for this one, but I'm not quite sure what that's going to be or when it's going to be reflected on the paycheck. So I'm just leaving it at the previous underestimated amount of $2,800. So then what we're going to do is just add these numbers together. But I totally forgot to include my rollover for paycheck number 2. Okay, so for those of you who watched my week 1 check-in yesterday, you saw that we are going to be having a new rollover from paycheck number 1. This is paycheck number 1. I'm going to be having a rollover of $1,321.11. So that's how we zero out our budget. Everything from paycheck 1 gets rolled over to paycheck 2, and then paycheck 2 gets zeroed out, and that money that's left over gets thrown at debt. So I'm going to write down, I need to circle rollover and write down the 1,32111, and I think I might be able to squish in this new number still over here so that you guys don't have to see whiteout, me write on the whiteout. Let me just add these together real quick. So the 4384 plus the 132111, that equals $5,705.11. Okay, we were able to squish it in without having to write on the whiteout. So that is great. And that's going to be rolled over at the end of paycheck 1, so 7/16 is when that'll be rolled over. Okay, next I fill out my fixed expenses right here, and this is where I use my calendar to help me plug in those bills. Okay, so I have gone ahead and filled everything out off camera just for the sake of saving time, but these are all of the fixed expenses that I expect paycheck number 2 to cover. And they add up to, make sure you guys can see. I like to keep you guys zoomed in, but I also want to make sure you can see things. I've noticed that I'm having a hard time figuring out my frame on my camera. So I'll make sure you guys can see everything. So our expected fixed expenses are $4,399.81 for paycheck number 2. Next, I'm going to move over to my variable expenses. So these are our variable expenses. As I've explained previously, these can be this is where I feel your budget can become very personalized. So for us, the hard one to stick to is groceries and eating out. Household and pets, I think that'll be better this month. We just used this a lot when we were getting the yard and stuff in order. So groceries, I budget $400, and this is for 2 weeks since we get paid every other week. And eating out, we budget $100. Household and pets is $125, and I recently increased this. And then next is gas, and I bumped that up to $150, but I've noticed we really haven't been using that much, so I may cut back on that one. I just want to follow our gas usage for another paycheck. And then my husband and I, our spending money is $40. Our kids, we allocate $20 to each of them. And as I've mentioned before, it's not cash, and we're not looking to intentionally spend that money, but just as things come up, it's nice to have that money set aside in case they do want something, or an event or something like that comes up. Okay, so that is my variable expenses. Next, what I'm going to do is come down to this expected equation, and this is a term I'd heard but not used before. Is called cash flow. So this equation actually calculates your cash flow. So what money you have left over after you've paid your expenses, that is kind of the money you have to toy around with to, for me, it's to pay off debt, but then later on it'll be for investments, and the goal is to increase your cash flow. So that's what we're hoping to do. But I'm going to take my expected income, so 570511 minus my expected fixed expenses, so 4399.81 minus my expected variable expenses, 915. So our cash flow at the end of paycheck number 2, and this is what will be thrown at debt in addition to our snowball. So our snowball's already the $1449. But at the end of this paycheck, we're expecting to be able to throw the $390.30 at debt as well. Okay, sorry, my voice is cutting out on me. Let me take a sip of coffee. Okay, so that takes care of our expenses. Next is my sinking funds category. You guys will see me use this during my weekly check-ins. I did yesterday when I did my week 1 check-in. We used from our HOA for our house came out, as well as buying a gift. As I said, we have lots of birthdays in the month of July. And last is my debt table. So if you want to see more, these are our current debts. A couple of these have been paid off, but if you want to see more on our debts, where we started, where we are now, how we came to certain numbers, I'll link that video in the description box below. And I'll also put in an information card for you if you want to check that one out. But this, I can't quite finish filling it out because there are still some bills that need to clear from last paycheck for me to update my beginning balances. But we can get some of them filled out. And so that's how I use this table is, you know what, this is going to be paid off. So that is a part of the snowball. I do use this like when the bill is assigned to that paycheck, as that bill clears, I update the ending balance. So there's not really a whole lot that are on this paycheck. Actually, I'm trying to think if there's, Yeah, I don't really see that there are any. So all of them are from the previous paycheck. And then, but you can see so far we have paid off three of our debts since starting our journey in February, which is, it's so exciting to see. And I'm hoping for student loan number 1 to be gone really soon. Fingers crossed by the end of this month. You know, we will hustle, do our thing, but that would just be amazing. Okay, so now I'm just going to add up my expected minimum payments. Because that's the thing, like I'm finding as we're paying off these debts, you want to make sure that you're not changing, like especially with credit cards, I feel like they can vary your minimum payment. So whatever you started with, you want to try to really stick with that. One thing I realized though, as I was going through this was when we first came up with the additional amount that we were going to throw towards our HELOC, that's the one that we started with. We had different variable expenses. Like our budget for our variable expenses was less, so I couldn't really add that. So I'm kind of struggling right now with maintaining that same snowball, because it wasn't technically the minimum payment for the HELOC, it was just what we scraped together from doing our budget, which was, it was $700, and our HELOC payment was actually $162, and then from halting some investments we added another $600, making it $1,300. But since our variable expenses have increased, it's kind of cut back on what was that snowball. So we'll kind of see. I'm gonna still work through the numbers, that sort of thing, as we go along, take you guys along with me on this learning process. But I figure as long as we're still maintaining our budget and staying focused on debt, my ultimate goal would be to pay around $3,000 a month to debt. So I'm going to kind of focus more on that as my number, but we will see. Okay, so student loan number 1, its snowball is that $1,449, and then I'm just going to leave this blank right here because I'm going to be having some more money from our zero-based budget that is going to be subtracted from this. So as those bills clear, I will subtract it from this number. So you can see we're still waiting for our car, cell phones, those two to clear before I can add their beginning balances for paycheck number 2. All right, so that is going to wrap up this video, you guys. That is how I set up my paycheck 2 budget. This is what the rest of July is going to be looking like for us. And you guys can follow along with me as I do my weekly check-ins to see what our actual numbers are going to be and how I keep track of our expenses and that sort of thing. But I hope you all are having a wonderful day. Next week, we are actually going to be on vacation. I am still going to be posting my week 2 check-in for the month of July for paycheck number 1. So you'll see that video on Thursday, but there will only be 1 video next week. And then after that, I'll be back to my 2 videos a week. But if you guys are enjoying the content of this channel, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be notified when I upload videos. And I love reading your comments in the comment section below, just interacting with you. That's really what got me inspired and motivated to join this amazing community. You all are so uplifting, and it just really makes my day when I see your comments and we can be there to support each other. I love going and checking out your channels as well and just rooting for you. But if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and it's beautiful where you are, and the month of July is fresh and new for you. All right, so I'll see you next week.